Chapter 5, on your own. Hopefully you're all having a good day. Remember, if you enjoy, to like and share. You sit across from Nate at your lessons table in high spirits, knowing you're free to study with no interruptions from your traveling husband. True or false, Epicurean philosophy posits that the only intrinsic good in life is physical pleasure. Easily false. Epicurus defined pleasure as merely the absence of misery. It's the Cyrenaics who pursued the physical kind above all else. I'm impressed, Your Grace. Most take much longer to grasp these abstract philosophical concepts. Well, that's what happens when I could focus without incessant distractions from the Duke. Is it so? Then I wonder what would happen if we weren't restricted to one room. Why not take our lessons to a new locale today? You mean another lesson outdoors? The words catch in your throat as you recall the lesson at Bidmore Estate. You can't help the ache that slowly stirs in your body at the thought. Not quite. How can you learn from the ways of the outside world when you're still acclimating to the world you live in? You have the entire estate to yourself. There's so much yet to be seen. Imagine the discoveries we could make in the storied home. I've already explored my home, with the exception of the handful of rooms Lawrence prefers I don't venture to. He raises from his chair, and wicked glint in his eyes. You recognize the look, like a hunter capturing his prey in his sights. Well, then those are the rooms we should explore. Shall we start in the Duke's private chambers, unless that is, he expressly forbade you? He didn't forbid me, I'm sure he wouldn't approve. I've never known you to require his approval. Aren't you the woman who so disregarded his expectations that you got a tutor? A tutor which he paid for and approved of. I'm not exactly sure that speaks to my strength of my will. I believe it does. We both know he only hired me because he knew you'd never relent in pursuing knowledge. He leans forward from behind you, his voice raspy and low in your ear. You could ask him once he returns, but I suspect it would play out the same, with your desires prevailing. Under his intense gaze, you worry. The nagging pull within you is excitement rather than fear. Which pleasure will we be having today, Sophie? Are you content with the absence of misery, or will you seize the day like the Cyrenaics? He holds out his hand to you, and you feel your own pull towards his. I suppose if it's to further my education. Taking his hand, you've never felt such delight in defeat. His touch is warm, gentle, and you feel a tight pounding in your chest as he leads you onward. My, exactly what is this room? Judging from the extensive collection of pipes we found in the smoking room, though I doubt the Duke is reading these novels, which is a shame. Nate picks up a leather-bound book from the Duke's desk and flips to a page in the middle. With a loud hurrah, the vicomte presented a series of gifts from his satchel. Is this his journal? You rush to his side for a view of the page, unable to contain your curiosity. He shouted, such a handsome and manly duke deserves all this. Join me and we'll be wealthier than the king. Sophie, this is dated before the vicomte arrived. It's fiction. We must keep reading them. The vicomte continues, if only more Frenchmen had your rugged charm, many lack the fortitude needed for the import business. I respond to the vicomte with a hearty laugh. Does he mean hearty? You barely are able to stifle your laughter as you read, eventually reaching an empty page. He feigns anguish. Oh, that's all the Duke's written so far? How disappointing. I was so looking forward to how he'd end this. He chuckles and returns the journal to the desk. How are you planning to tie this back to my education? Or was this entire escapade for your amusement? Of course not. It is also for your amusement, though I'm sure one of you, of your intellect, can find a lesson in anything. Perhaps the takeaway is that we should follow the Duke's example. Be indulgent. Huh. Oh, this is the life. You submerge yourself in a bathtub, indulging as the bubbles glide over your skin. Campbell enters with a decanter of one of the estate's finest vintages. While not the strangest request, I must say, it's an odd one for you in the middle of the morning, Your Grace. I've heard it's what all the women on the continent do, and you know how keen the Duke is that I learn the continental ways. You take a sip, but as Nate's voice calls out through the wall separating him. In other words, Campbell, expect a request to get much stranger. Well, I'll take my leave before you rope me into anything else. As she departs, you can hear him splashing whenever he moves in the tub in the adjoining room. Wine dulling your inhibitions, you close your eyes and let yourself picture him without guilt, his bare skin slick and gleaming with water. I'm beginning to think those hedonistic Sireniacs were correct. You know, when you don't read a word, and so long it isn't funny, your brain's like, hold on, let me... And there's proper pronunciation. What's that, Duchess? Oh, nothing. In the attic, you and him sort through old chunks of clothing surrounded by antiques and towers of boxes. I can't believe the previous owners left so many things here. We have a pirate medallion and an old doll. Listen, we avoid the old dolls and old mirrors. No, those are bad things. You bare your teeth and bite the medallion. Are you that hungry? That's not what people do to surmise if it's real. Only in movies. And what are your teeth telling you, Your Grace? Is it real? You playfully toss the item at Nate as he swats it away, smiling. After further rummaging, you hold up a man's coat and a pair of old-fashioned breeches. How stylish. I'm sure you'd be able to turn them into a height of fashion. Breeches. And a woman who's ever heard of such a thing. Give it a couple 100 years. I won't tell if you won't. Only since we're trying everything. He turns away and you hastily undress. You glance in his direction to ensure he isn't peeking and feel a pang of disappointment when he never does. Finally, you button your shirt up all the way to your neck and tuck it into the breeches. You may look now. Nice, actually. And some of us actually like waiting for the full surprise. His eyes widen at the sight of his cheeks spread into a grin that sends warmth radiating through you. Oh, this is the side. Oh, they absolutely drown your form. Not entirely, I like it. Perhaps. A visit to the Modeste is in order. I would give a week's pay to see her face if you walk in wearing that, but perhaps I can do it in a pinch. He takes a strip of cloth off the shelf and ties it around your waist. You tremble at the contact as his hands graze your hips. I feel so exposed in this. It's like he can see every part of me. Your heart quickens as his fingers nimbly work to tie the cloth off. You've always been beautiful, Sophie, but this gives you a dashing, swashbuckling quality. All that's missing is a sword. That's the most absurd thing I've ever heard, or you've ever said the entire day. A sword-wielding Duchess? On guard. You shuffle forward to attack him, as he easily parries, blocking you with his blade. Keep your back leg bent, and be sure to move the front leg first. You shift your weight, eyes locked on him as you move. Suddenly, he dives forward, his foil swinging wildly. Swinging wildly. Parry. You raise your foil, clanging against his with effort. Not so bold now, are we? You stay light on your feet, shuffling forward, the lunge for his arm, making contact. You've been bested by the Duchess of Sussington. I'm rather proud. It only took you, what is it, 8 rounds? Hot and windy, you plop down onto the cool grass. You're bubbling with excitement from the day's activities. I know you went easy on me, but I've never had such fun. I'm sure you've worked up quite an appetite for your efforts today. What can we have the cook prepare you that wouldn't get to eat with the Duke? around. Well, I've always dreamt of trying top chocolate. Really? The Duke has some sent weekly from overseas, but when I asked to try one... You recall the moment, etched firmly in your mind. The Duke scoffs at your request and barks at a laugh. These are far too expensive and delicate to waste on a woman's inferior palate. His laugh that day still rings in my ears, yet I do still wonder what they taste like. His smile turns into a wicked grin. He extends his hand with a tempting offer. There's no reason you can't try them now while he's away. I could never. Lawrence would be so angry. I'm sure he doesn't count every chocolate he eats if they're sent to him regularly. Even if he did, I'd simply note my dear friend the Vicomte had a craving. I doubt he'd argue with that. His husky voice sends an enticing thrill up your spine. Thoughts of him feeding you chocolate swirl in your head. So, Duchess, care to satiate your curiosity? You're right. Lawrence won't know if a few are missing. I was hoping you'd say that. He picks up the fencing foils and leads you inside the house. Though he maintains a careful distance, you can't help but be aware of how near he is. The heat of exertion still radiates off your bodies. Before we head up, we should make a plan. It's not usual for you to be in the Duke's sleeping chambers, is it? It's not. And this isn't like the smoking room or the attics. Should we be caught, there's no plausible explanation for being in Lawrence's room. Yes, but it's your house, so but I digress. It would serve us to come up with one. If we're seen, I'll say it's a marital matter. Oh, is the Duke having trouble performing in the bedroom? Your eyes grow wide, and you slightly swat his shoulder. Why would you assume it's that kind of marital issue? Well, it's the only explanation for why he doesn't even try to woo such a beautiful wife. Had I had such a wife, I'd ensure she was thoroughly satisfied, extremely expected in my chambers. You swallow your eyes, following the curve of his tantalizing, soft lips before averting your gaze. Need I remind you that we're looking for plausible explanation for being there in his absence? At the bottom of the stairs, one of the footmen passes you eyeing the swords with confusion. Good evening, Your Grace. Did you need those taken somewhere? Oh no, I was just practicing my form. Thank you, though. You press your hands to your mouth to stifle your giggles as you hurry away up the stairs, the baffled footman watching you in confusion. After briefly ensuring that the Duke's chambers are empty, you duck inside. Nate is close behind you. So, where might we find these famous chocolates be? I have no idea, really. Where would one keep such a delicacy? Right next to his bed. If it were me, I'd keep them by my bedside. Is there anything more satisfying than eating a rare, luxurious indulgent nestled between silk sheets? Your breath hitches at the images flashing through your head. You recline on the bed, him beside you. Your lips close around his finger as he places the chocolate slowly in your mouth. As you savor the treat, he whispers in your ears. Warm breath tickles your skin until... Duchess, what about the bed? Right. I think that's a very good place to start. You force yourself to focus and open a set of drawers beside the bed. You frown as you rifle through the papers and souvenirs from the Duke's travels. No chocolates. Not yet. Though I wonder what other secrets the Duke is hiding here. You feel the warmth from his body against your back as he peers over your shoulder. Why would he be hiding secrets? We all have our mysteries. And where better to keep them than the bedchamber, a place only you get to visit. Well, yourself and anyone you choose to invite there personally. What secrets are you hiding in yours? I don't have anything to hide. Surely you have something you don't want others to know about. No, I'm an open book. I don't think you're naive enough for that. Perhaps, but if you pay close enough attention, I'm quite easy to read. His lips find your ear, just like how you imagined earlier. I always make my affections known. You close your eyes at the feeling of him so close to you, yet your body aches for him to be closer. But before you can indulge, he suddenly leaves your side to search through the Duke's closet. You look around, and an odd bench at the foot of the bed catches your attention. A bench with hinges. How peculiar. You don't think... You swing open the heavy top, sifting through the assortments of trinkets until you find Lawrence's chocolates made in heaven. I found them. You pluck out a chocolate, ready to pop it in your mouth, but his hand stops you. Wait, you should really enjoy the experience. You may never get a chance like this to try them. He takes your free hand and leads you to sit on the bed. Plush satins and velvets cradle you as he plucks a chocolate from the box. He brings the chocolate up your lips, pleasing the delicacy in front of you. Close your eyes. I want you to focus on the sensations in your body. You obey, sensing something rather than seeing. Slow approach. He lightly brushes his fingers against your bottom lip. You gasp, your mouth opening of its own accord. Are you ready? Yes, please. I just want to taste. Your voice comes out breathy. An ache of need that's for more than just chocolate pulsing through you. Leaning closer, his breath warming the long column of your throat, he places the chocolate on your tongue. Now savor it. Wring every bit of pleasure out of this forbidden delight that you can. You swallow slowly, the rich flavor of chocolate bursts across your tongue. Sweet, dark, somehow wicked. And what do you feel? You open your eyes, still dazed from the sweet chocolate and the sound of his voice. His gaze lingers on your lips, watching them with intense fascination. It makes me want more. More of what? In a daze, you answer him, intoxicated by the ghost of his touch. Your eyes flick to his fingers, eager to taste more of his soft skin. His fingertips graze your lips again, sweeping the melted chocolate away from your mouth onto his skin. Perhaps my lips. Your tongue darts out, licking it off of him deliciously. A moan escapes your lips as you savor the taste. He grins at you devilishly, trailing his fingers down the nape of your neck. Need settles in your throat and you swallow hard. Before you ask him for more, he removes his hand and picks up another chocolate, leaving you hungry for another taste. How would you describe chocolate? Truthfully, I've actually never tasted chocolate either. As you said, they are a delicacy here, both rare and expensive. But I thought you had expensive tastes. Oh, I do, and I make it a point to indulge them whenever I can. You can't help but notice the way his gaze skims over your body, the devilish curl of his lips as he undresses you with his eyes. It just so happens that this is one of the tastes I've been able to indulge in yet. Still, watching your experience with flavors has been quite revelatory. His hand skims across yours, chocolate still in his grasp, as your fingers touch a shock courses through your body. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you. I miss when people talked more intellectually. Like, I'm serious. Like, it takes my brain a second to, like, look at some of these words that I don't, like, read every day, right? And especially with people that I don't really socialize with. Most of them are, I mean, I love my friends and all, but they're not where I used to be intellectually, and I don't know. It's just nice reading some of these words. I should gently bind his thumb, feed him a chocolate, return the favor. You pluck the chocolate from his hand, then bring it to his lips. You follow his example from earlier, letting it sit against him. He takes the edge of it in his mouth, slowly dancing his tongue over it. Name? You press the rest of the chocolate into his mouth. His tongue grazes over your fingers and you shiver at the contact. His eyes close as he savors the chocolate in his mouth. His hands grasp at the bedsheets. Your face grows warm at the sight. How is it? Delicious. But I can think of other things that would taste better. Coffee. Maybe watermelon. Seriously, I could live with chocolate, coffee, and watermelon for the rest of my life. I'm serious. I mean, I would need a meat, sure, but I digress. Better than chocolate. What could possibly be more delicious than that? Can't you guess? Your bosom heaves as you gaze into his hooded eyes. The chocolate-sweet taste lingers on your tongue, but you find it's not enough. He flashes a wicked grin as his eyes drop to your fingers. We can't waste such a rare treasure now, can we? What do you mean? He raises a hand to answer your question. A bit of chocolate is melted on the tip of your finger. Allow me. Without his eyes leaving yours, he slowly presses your finger to his lips and lets it slide between them. Oh. He sucks the chocolate off your finger slowly. The skillful dart of his tongue sends a tingle down your spine. The gentle tug from him causes your body to ache for more. You call out his name, your voice breathy. Mate. One by one, he takes each of your fingers into his mouth, licking away the chocolate from a painful slowness. His skin starts to heat all over. How do I taste? Shouldn't it be how's the chocolate, fam? How do I taste? Devastating. He rolls his tongue smoothly over your fingers as his voice rolls smoothly over your mind. If you were the last meal on earth, I would be heartbroken and never taste you again. His tongue presses along the side of your fingers, tasting you diligently before taking you all the way inside his mouth. Oh. Your head lolls back as he savors you, his tongue dancing over you and inside his warm mouth. His teeth lightly graze over your fingertips, nipping as his tongue swirls around you. Why do I feel like this is completely... I thought this is what, girls did to guys to drive them crazy, and yet, what the hell? Role reversal. Just a swirl of my tongue is enough to make your nerves unravel. He articulates his point, working you over in his mouth. A familiar throb blooms between your legs. Each expert move of his captures you further into his trance. Your mouth falls open, letting a moan escape. Just like that. He takes your finger each deeper in his mouth. Each caress of his lips sends you deeper under his trance. You find yourself unable to take your eyes off of him, your gaze trained on his lips, the flick of his tongue. That feels... Your heart beats so strongly that you lean back on the silk sheets for support. The ache between your legs grows every passing second. Finally, slowly, he pulls his mouth away from your finger and his gaze doesn't leave your own. I'm convinced now that you're the delicacy. You tighten your legs together, hoping to quell the agonizing warmth pulsing from inside you. Suddenly you hear a loud crash, followed by servants' voices in the hall. I hope his grace wasn't fond of that face. The sound comes closer. You pull away from him, anxiously skittering through you. What do we do? Just stay still. If they come in, we'll stick to the plan. And say what? Lawrence can't perform in the bedroom, so I'm here with my tutor. But after a few moments, the servant's footsteps pass by your husband's chambers, and you breathe a sigh of relief. I was too close. I should go. It's past time to dress for dinner. Shame to end this lesson so soon. But I suppose it wouldn't be as an indulgence if it lasted forever. As you take a final look at him before leaving, you smile coyly. There's something thrilling about sharing a secret with him. The Sireniacs would beg to differ. Sometime later in your bedchamber, Campbell brushes your hair, chatting idly about you, about your day. I even learned how to fence, or well, the basics of it, at least. I've never heard of such a thing for a young wife. I suppose I thought I could have a bit of fun while my husband was away. But aren't you worried about it being seen as improper? What's improper about it? I assure you a dueling stance is quite distant from my opponent. Besides, no one would question a man doing the same. Doubt that you or any of the other staff asked the Duke to explain his peculiar behaviors. We're expected to be as obedient wives, mothers, daughters, all while ignoring our own thoughts and desires. You're right, Your Grace. Please understand that I'm questioning you out of care. I'm glad you were able to act more freely. Lord knows there are few enough chances to do so in this life, but... Campbell hesitates before continuing. Taking her time with your hair, she formulates her thoughts. You should be careful, Your Grace. The servants see everything, and sometimes they talk. Surely they'd never say anything. I'm as much their employer as the Duke. Most of the servants wouldn't make a peep, not only because it's inviting trouble, but because they like you. Trust me, most of us know how lucky we are to have a kind employer like yourself, even though the more venile types below the stairs appreciate that your marriage to the Duke has elevated all of their statuses. Now, he's had this title for several years now, and my father was mere a viscount, and a poor one at that. Yes, but you have to understand, there's a hierarchy amongst servants, too. The Duke's title is so recent, and of course his manners are... atrocious. Not as refined as they could be, I'll say. But your family's pedigree is ancient. The minute you two wed, everyone working here gained that respectability. I suppose. That makes sense. Nowadays, that no longer exists. I've always known that's what he was after, by marrying me. It stands to reason it would extend to the servants as well. Still, not all servants are so reasonable. Penderton's loyalty is entirely to the Duke, which I suppose one should look for in a personal valet. He's a bit peevish. I fear he'd be too keen to make your life harder. Isn't Penderton away with my husband and the Vicomte? For now, but he still has allies here. Don't fret about your fun today, it was harmless after all. However, I'd suggest caution moving forward. Penderton could find a way to spend things that would make it impossible for the other servants to cover for you. Campbell falls silent as she finishes your hair, leaving you to ponder her words. She's right. I've let the time alone go to my head. I can't afford to act too carefree. Oh no! No! Whatever will we do? Shake some chocolates and swashbuckling. Or fencing, man. Whatever will we do? I must remain, or remember, why I'm in this marriage. Save Louise, my mother, and myself from financial ruin and shame. Tears well in your eyes as the memories of him flash before you. No matter how I feel about Nate, Louise and my mother's happiness is worth 1,000 unhappy marriages. You sit straighter in the chair, focusing on Campbell's handiwork, your mind made up. I just hope my heart can follow. The next day, you follow along with his lesson on playwright Christopher Marlowe, wordlessly annotating the text and doing your best to avoid his gaze. Your comprehension seems rather firm on Dr. Faustus. Let's move on to the next stage. Recitation. Turn to Mephistopheles' first temptation of Faustus. I'll read the former, you read for the latter. You flip to the scene, but within moments he has moved closer to you. He lowers his voice, eyes gleaming with mischief. Now, Faustus, what wouldst thou have me do? He moves up behind you, running his arm along yours, his body pressed against your back. I charge thee wait upon me whilst I live. to do whatever Faustus shall command, be it to make the moon drop from her sphere, or to abide by the boundaries of propriety from this moment forward. It pains you to watch his face shift from confusion to hurt as he realizes your meaning. You deviated from the text, Sophie, though it seems we're no longer discussing the play. And that's the problem. Our studies have never truly been about the studies, but that must change. My husband hired you for one purpose. Anything beyond that is cause for scandal, and I can't risk. I assure you, no one would gossip to the Duke about our actions without knowing the purpose behind them. And what purpose is that, Nate? What are your intentions with me? Let me provide an example. If I were to run my finger up your arm like this, he moves a finger along the delicate skin over the inside of your wrist. Your breath hitches as your will to resist falters. I could be explaining the circulatory system in great detail, how the blood flows through you like so. Tiptoes his fingers further up your arm, lifting them only when he nears your shoulder, leaving his hand a bare inch from your heaving bosom. And if I were to put my hand on your waist like this, his rousing touch finds your waist. You don't know whether to run away, or from or toward him, whether to scream at him or scream out his name. Wow, his touch on your waist has that shocking of a feel, man. I might be instructing you on how to dance the waltz. Any proper Duchess must know the steps, don't you agree? You hold your gaze, making it impossible to respond, with eyes burning with barely repressed longing. And if I were to lean closer to whisper in your ear, and when he whispers the words, the ghost of his breath warming your skin undoes you, I could be teaching you anything you desire. Isn't that what a tutor is for? To teach you. Is that how you see me? So covetous of knowledge that I invite a devil into my home to gain it? I'm no devil, Sophie, quite the opposite. I only ever wanted to show you heaven. His face is mere inches from your own, his eyes falling onto your mouth, your lips part in anticipation. The one thing that has eluded your grasp since you met him is ripe for the picking. All you need to do is lean in and seize it. This is all it took to decide to kiss him. Your breath comes short and fast, heart beating in your throat, every inch of you burning for his touch. Well then, what would you be teaching me? I'm sure you've heard of the five senses. Of course. Perhaps you weren't aware of all of them can contribute to pleasure. The sight of a lover, desperate for desire. The sound of soft murmurs of need. His gaze travels over the curve of your waist, the nape of your neck, before landing on your lips. You're tugged into his orbit, lost in the constellation of his eyes. And of course, taste. His hand rises to the back of your head, and you find you have no resistance left in you. You can't even tell whether he's drawing you to him or whether you're diving into his depths. Suddenly your lips are on his, your arms wrapping around his shoulders, drawing him closer. He moans against your mouth, the feel of his breath grazing your lips, stoking the fire inside of you. His hands trail down your sides, leaving a trail of heat in their wake. You gasp with sudden delight as he grips your hips, pulling you against him. He presses you along the length of his body. The hard planes of his muscles tease you through the delicate silk of your gown. Oh. He murmurs into your ear, his breath tickling the nape of your neck. You're suddenly desperate for his lips to touch you again. I've been dreaming of this since the moment I laid eyes on you in the ballroom. You have? His words leave you floating as if dancing on air. Cradled by the delicate cloud you are under, his spell hypnotized by every breath he takes. I imagined how it would feel to embrace you. Oh. And how did I capture your interest we had only just met? What about me caught your eye? Anyone with a sense would have been captivated by your beauty at the ball. I was merely bold enough to act on it. His hand caresses your arm, lightly grazing the exposed underside. The sensation blooms like sunlight along your skin. But more than that, I could already see a longing in you. A sense of being destined for something more than a life of balls and teas. I kind of giggled at the balls and teas part, but I digress. He tilts your chin up to meet him in another kiss, this one even heavier than the first. All inhibition falls away from you as you cling to the firm planes of his chest, your head spinning with desire. You've never dared to touch him like this before, touch anyone like this before. You cannot resist. I wonder how we might explain this lesson to your staff. Simple, we don't. I don't want anyone interrupting us. Groans as you steal out of his arms into the door, reaching out to recapture you. I had no idea you were so impatient. Then you underestimated how much I want you. We've not just do we double down on this, we are tripling down on this. You feel his heated gaze on you as you saunter away to lock the door. You just manage to flip the lock when his arms slink around you from behind. His hands move over your waist, caressing the curves of your hips before he flips you around to face him. I've been waiting so long for this, Sophie, wanting to hold you, to taste you. He parts his lips open before his tongue slides inside, dancing with your own. You whimper against him, dizzy with need, the movements of his tongue sending shivers down your spine. Oh, he has a hold on you, every sense. His scent drowning, his touch searing, his taste intoxicating. His gaze is ravenous, watching you with hungry anticipation. You wonder if he'll swallow you whole. Your arms wind around his neck, pulling him flush against you. Your body is heating all over, ignited by the feeling of his embrace. You capture the sensitive skin of his neck between your lips. Hugging gently, he hisses and his gaze darkens, eyeing you with lust. Oh. You grin against him, pleased with the effect you're having on him. Do you want me? I think that's obvious. Instead of answering you, his hands cup the back of your head, tugging you to his lips to kiss you with heightened fervor. You lean in to nibble at your earlobe. Darting his tongue along the shell of your ear, you moan at the feeling, digging your nails into his back. A pulsing heat builds within you, rising with every touch, every flick of his tongue, a sensation you never even knew existed before you met him. He trails fluttering kisses down your neck, murmuring your name in between soft bites. His hands caress the small of your back, delicately teasing you. Sophie. He peppers your jaw with open-mouthed kisses as he grazes the curve of your hips with his fingers. You moan in frustration and clutch him tighter. The ache only grows stronger with each touch of his skilled hands. What is this feeling? As if she's a teenager again. You're startled by the noises you make, the way you crave his touch. You yearn for him, his body, his mind, You're all I could ever dream. His gaze is unwavering, memorizing every shake of your body, every gasp of your breath. You are drowning as in an embrace, struggling to ride out each wave of pleasure. Please. Your eyes glaze over the flood of need in your body, seemingly to overtake your reason. You guide his hands to your chest. I want nothing more than to satisfy you. He runs his hands over your breast, slightly massaging them with his palms. With each shake of your body, he applies more pressure, kissing along your neck as he works each. His fingertips, okay. Suddenly hear thumping at the door. Yes, YouTube going, hey. Keep it down or we'll delete your video. And then we'll strike your channel. Then we'll delete it. Keep it down. You're Grace, are you in there? And of course it's Gamble. You jump away from him, startled by the loud noise. He looks as startled as you feel, breath coming ragged as he turns to the door. It's a shame to have our studies interrupted. You adjust your hair and smooth out your dress when you are ready. He opens the door. Campbell hurries inside with a tea tray, her voice practically ringing through the house. Here's your tea, Your Grace. But I didn't request any. Sorry it took me so long. I couldn't find the bohea that you like, but I did ask the cook to bake up some fresh biscuits, so all's well. Campbell, what? Campbell gives you both, and Nate a stern look. Just before you can ask, she leaves. The door swings open again. Good evening, Your Grace. Is anything amiss? I'm shouting. No, nothing's amiss. I was just, Campbell had come by with such, Henderson's eyes narrow as he looks up and down with disapproval. Campbell intervenes, jumping in front of his field of vision. Pardon me, I'm the one who was shouting. You know her, Grace. Always so deep in a book, she wouldn't take notice until one does shout. I see. Did you tell her the good news? I was just getting to that. Your husband has come home early, Your Grace. You must be so excited to have him back. Oh, yes, phenomenal news. I've missed him so. You exchange a wary look with Nate, unsettled by his turn of events. If Penderson had managed to find us first, it would mean ruin for my family. Alright, without further ado, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Head down the description of the video. Plenty of things to check out there. Let me know what your thoughts on the video. I'm just gonna say this, right? Alright. So I get it, hundreds of years ago, things were different, right? You know, people did marry for wealth or respectability due to marrying into a good name, right? And things like this did happen, where a good name, while it was a good name and respectable, a lot of the houses with respect, because this is how human nature and society works, those houses would lose money over time. While the houses with no real good name, because they did not have respectability, would have tons of money. Right? So the good names would typically have to marry in to, or vice versa, to the, this shitty-ass marriage. And yeah, no, there were people who would take up lovers and things like that. However, that really doesn't exist in today's times, right? Really doesn't exist except for maybe just a handful of countries that, not so much anymore, not so much, not really so much, you look at, what is it, Prince Harry and the celebrity, I try not to really give a crap about that stuff, but, yeah, no, you know where I'm going with this. Clearly she's not of a lineage line, really, all she has is, I'm famous from Hollywood, which I don't even know what the hell she was in, so let's be honest. I mean, people should be allowed to find love, right? This is my feeling, though, it's 2023. If you are unhappy in a relationship, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, but you should get out of that relationship, especially if you find someone that you actually care about. And people will, this excuse doesn't fly anymore, in my opinion. Well, I'm staying in the relationship because of the marriage. Why? Why? No, seriously, answer me in the comment section below if you understand why. I don't believe in the why. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it at all. Do you know why? Because if that man or woman in your life is truly as amazing for you to risk cheating on your spouse, your significant other, then you don't stay with them. Because they would help you with the kids and whatnot, versus you being unhappy. The kids are going to read. The kids are going to see. Trust me, take it as a person who was once a kid, We pick up on that shit. We see that shit. We see anything and everything that goes on. We hear it. So, which would you rather have? You explaining to your kids that you and daddy, or you and mommy, were just not happy anymore. And that, that doesn't mean we don't love you. It just means that, I needed to remain happy so I could give you guys my fullest, right? Or would you rather not give them your fullest, continue to be unhappy, and continue to risk everything so then it looks bad on you? I don't know. That's my mentality. I look at these very complicated issues and I try and dumb them down and simplify them as much as humanly possible. That's why I said I'm always open for criticism or critique or thoughts in the comment section below. But most of you seem to pretty much jive with it. There's been a few people who have been like, well, no, and blah, blah, blah. And again, I respect your opinions, right? And some people can change me, some people cannot. It just depends on how firm of information that you can give me, right? To prove to me that there is another avenue or another reason or things like that. But to me, I think if you're stuck in a loveless marriage at this point, you and you know someone, you found someone, you're like, man, I really want to be with this person. Then take the leap, take the jump. It's better than being unhappy. Or figure out. Let's be honest. The alternative would be figure out why you're unhappy in the marriage. Right? So there's some people who will honestly go, and again, this is a long subject that I could, again, continue to break down. Some people will be like, yeah, but I really love him or her, and they're great in every single aspect, but, and there is the people out there that are like this, that I'm not getting enough mount chick go wow wow from them, right? Okay. One, try livening things up, try explaining it to them. You know, and if, for whatever reason, because I know there is physical things as well, trust me, I'm sure that those people, there's many things on the market, okay, to bring happiness where if they are not able to perform to that expectation or are unwilling to or whatever have you, that there are things that can help you. Or honestly, look at it as, and I know this is something I pitch every rarely, but I don't know, if you're wanting to stay together, but there is one thing lacking in the relationship, for instance, bound chicken wow, then I don't know, I'll say, hey, can we have an open relationship where I'm coming to you every night, we're doing all this other stuff, but I know this one person where I can get this one or two needs that, I'm not feeling fulfilled in this relationship. Right? Again, I look at these things and I break these things down because it's just how my brain works. Right? I do this really crazy thing called thinking. Anyway, I'm not going to drivel on anymore, but again, things like this also make me think, right? Everything, you shouldn't be living in a bunker where everything inside is something that agrees with you and you feel comfortable with, and then you come outside, or may I say lack of coming outside, because you don't want anything to be a brash against you or something that, just doesn't make you feel comfortable. Those things that make us feel uncomfortable, or maybe things that, make us think, oh my god, there's someone with a different perspective or different this or that or the whole nine yards. Listen, nature literally gives us some of the most beautiful, fascinating things in the world because it was put under tons of pressure, right? Look at the diamond, for instance. Look at the rose. Look at a lot of these things that have gone through and or have a defensive mechanism that are some of the most beautiful things. Like, that's just how this works, right? Don't surround yourself with entirely 110% yes men and, build a wall or build a bubble. Alright. Catch y'all later. Love you. Peace out.